fine. I ulti, flat again.
Cocky no W.
No front, don't go too deep. Which one?
I'm coming, I have it.
I stun, I keep my stun.
Yeah.
I stun.
Looking for Talia TP.
Talia, she's stable.
Nice, good job, guys.
Good shit.
Oh, I was gonna kill this.
Well play, boys.
Play gang.
Hopefully Camilo isn't too sad about that kill because he does get the Kia Player of the Series for Team Heretics' win over Rogue 2-0. But we've got another superstar of the Team Heretics lineup with us. Carlson, you also had an unbelievable series. I mean, okay, not everything was as top, but I think specifically Game 2, I think you smurfed, but I think you're probably unhappy about some of Game 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
That basically sums it up.
Yeah.
I mean, Game 1 was a rough one. Happy we could pull through and win the game. I was, like 50 CS down at 15 minutes?
Yeah.
It was looking rough. But still, we managed to claw back, found our way back into the game. And then I'm just happy that, I got to show a different side as well in terms of laning. I was playing a bit more smart as well in Game 2. So overall, I'm happy about it.
Great bounce back.
Yeah, I was really curious about that because I remember when I came into the league as a top laner, it was really hard to communicate what you needed to your jungler. And I saw that Game 1, a lot of those tendencies, I imagine it was hard time for you to ask for help because I think that's one of the main struggles a lot of top laners come in for. It's really hard to know when you need to be selfish and tell your jungler, I need you. Can you elaborate on that and how did you feel regarding that?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something I recognize. It's kind of easy to take a step back, I guess, as a top laner, because you're generally speaking quite isolated. So it's quite easy to just stay that way, especially as a rookie as well.
For
you
sure.
play with some other more experienced people. And yeah, that was definitely the case this game as well. We also quickly discussed it afterwards. I was a bit, not surprised, but after first split, I was kind of going into this game as well, like, I knew I was going to communicate stuff as well.
Yeah.
But then I surprised myself, like, oh, I'm not
It's
Not
never that
talking.
easy.
I'm not calling for the resources and such, but it's a good learning experience, knowing that, not thinking that I've developed too quickly in a sense, that I know I still have these areas to work on, a lot of areas, but I wouldn't call it a reality check, but it's a good experience. I'm learning from.
Yeah, I think that's great insight, and it shows just the arc that you go through, right, from being a rookie to being one of those very experienced players. And I want to parlay this into our next matchup. We've got G2 versus Movistar KOI. As a reminder, G2 was in that final, lost to KC. Movistar KOI would have liked to get to finals weekend, and I think that was a disappointment for them not to. But let's talk about these two top laners, Finn. Broken Blade versus Myrwn, because when I just look at the names, I feel like with the lane swaps gone, this is one of the most exciting top lane matchups we can have.
Yeah, I just think about last winter when Myrwn came in and fought G2 in the final and contested them in Game 1, bringing out the Yasuo. And I think we've been on that road ever since. Every time these guys come to stage, they bring something new. And I think now, finally, lane swaps are gone. I think this allows the top lane pool to actually get really creative. I don't know what's happening on that screen, but they're also very excited, just as I am.
Yeah. What do you think about the matchup?
I mean, I think for sure with some of the prio picks we have right now, in top lane as well, allows you to get creative. Things such as Gwen. I mean, a very standard pick into Gwen is the Jax, like I pulled out, but I think she has a lot of niche counters, especially some range champs, and I think Myrwn, at least, will have something ready for the Gwen.
What do you think his most dangerous champion is?
Myrwn most dangerous champ? I think his most dangerous champ is Gwen.
Okay.
And historically as well, I mean, scrimming against him in ERLs in Academy, he was always, I mean, probably like the best Gwen player.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember watching his VODs actually when he was in Bisons. I did 1v1s against him in 2022, I think, or 2023. And I remember he was always buying full damage Gwen, full glass cannon. He was one-shotting teams in the late game. Really good and really competent that champion. And I want to say if Broken Blade has something prepared, because I remember Warwick being one of the answers into Gwen, something we saw in Winter Split against it. So I really hope we can see some of that creativity shine through.
Yeah, I agree. With lane swaps being gone right in the C to 1v1 might, do you feel like this is going to be the most influential matchup in this match, particularly from what you've seen from these two teams in winter, or not?
I mean, hard to say, because a lot of times in top lane, when you also see the lane swaps gone, or you see from other leagues, for example, LPL, it is kind of the same matchup, vice versa, every game. So it's kind of hard to say, but I think for these two teams, specifically more maybe on KOI side, that they'll have something prepared, something niche to look to counter the power picks in top lane. So I think we'll see something exciting.
That's really exciting. I hope that happens indeed. And Finn, just to summarize it, right, it is a really big matchup for both teams. You know, you only get to play this opponent once in this side of the season for G2. They want to start that climb back. And Movistar KOI, we have to see, I want to say something better out of them when we look at the entire season, right?
Yeah, I think we need to see them shrug off that winter split that was kind of suboptimal. Maybe now when the sun is coming out, Jojopyun feels a bit better. Maybe the Berlin winter was not for him, but the spring might shine through.
Yeah, we could talk about it later because it's harsh. Imagine having to move to Berlin in winter. I can imagine not doing that hot on the Rift. We don't know if that's the case, but what is the case is G2 versus Movistar KOI in our last best of 3 of the day, and Jackspectra and Drakos on the cast.
Thank you very much, Sjokz. Yeah, Sjokz versus Berlin Winter or MKOI versus G2. Well, for now, MKOI versus G2, the more compelling matchup since we are in spring. Jackspectra, are you done mewing? Can you?
Yeah, I can speak now. I mean, I do relate to the Berlin Winter. It's been tough for all of us here.
A deep tragedy. We need to be warm, is what we need. But ultimately, look, the thing that the desk was most excited about, I think we're also incredibly excited about, is the top lane matchup. It was balanced a little bit out by Carlson saying, hey, look, like we're watching LPL. A lot of that spice isn't coming through. The return of standard lanes has not saved top lane as much as I think we all hoped it would.
I mean, to be fair, there have been a lot of carry picks. I think if you remove the Cassandra, you kind of don't have a crazy safe line pick anymore. And I do think the Gwen is going to be pick or pack.
I agree. We'll see, of course, both teams taking to the stage. Roars of the fans, MKOI and G2 fans, making a lot of noise.
And I'm excited to see how KOI has planned this top matchup out, because as we talked about, Myrwn on the Gwen, I experienced it myself when I played with him. It's amazing. I don't think he's gonna get it due to the fact that they are on red side, but my question is, will they give BB Gwen? And does Myrwn have something crazy into it?
And what is the BB Gwen gonna look like?
Yeah, I'm not very familiar with this.
The last Gwen we saw for G2 was Yike in the jungle.
True.
And most people have probably forgotten about it because they never wanted to see it again. But it might be a different story in the top lane. And for Myrwn, I think this is a big boon because not only is he the Gwen guy, not only did the Gwen changes make Gwen stronger overall, but also she feels relevant much earlier in the game. The last Myrwn Gwen game we saw, he had a huge lead. Still didn't feel like he could do much until, 2.5, 3 items.
And it was so close,
yeah,
some of those
so
fights.
Close. This time, not only is she maybe a bit overtuned,
maybe.
definitely bonkers OP, not so busted, but also unsurprisingly, starts there. 1 item starts to already feel pretty good, and beyond.
I'm curious also to see if we could see like a Gwen Nafiri trade, or if Nafiri is a champion that either team really wants to prioritize. It's been very heavily prioritized in LPL, and it's been a menace in my solo queues. So.
Well, yeah. I've seen it mostly banned. I was bullied into not picking it in arena. It's gonna do random or whatever.
Well,
there's Nafiri.
First ban here, yeah.
Oh, we can see that on our screen.
Well,
you at home can't see it. We spoiled it. We're about to get into Picks Advance. Reminder, this is Fearless. Not quite as dynamic as Fearless best of 5, but a best of 3 will still allow us to see some of these champions taken off the board.
Yeah, kind of this Caliban is very interesting because that is a typical answer into the Gwen, which really signals for me that G2 want to first pick the Gwen. But MKOI are still not banning it out, so I would presume that Myrwn has something else cooked up into it.
Alternatively, are G2 willing to flex it, perhaps, to ensure an even more favorable matchup? But with Jace now taken away too, this is the interesting thing about blue side is it's not clear in this patch what the mandatory bans are, but all those mandatory bans seem to be coming through from MKOI. G2, other than the Nafiri, really banning these very targeted specific champions.
And a Warwick ban from MKOI here. This is just going to be a first pick Gwen for G2. I'm thinking Myrwn might answer with the Rumble, as that's been shown to be a strong pick into it, but it's just the Aurora lock-in. And I think that's for sure going top lane into the Gwen. Gwen struggles into range champs, and Aurora has a great laning phase up in the top lane.
It'll be the first Aurora of the year for Myrwn, and now paired alongside the Skarner. Certainly a lot of team fighting power between those two champions. Really want to see that individual 1v1. Both teams opting for AP on the top side. How is SkewMond going to balance this out? Presumably it would be an AD jungler, but he is...
I mean, he's hovering the Nunu because he used to be a Nunu one trick, and it's like... throwback.
Okay, so no AD, but it's a Maokai. And
And
now there's the physical damage.
This draft is going fast. The Maokai Yone here picked up immediately. I like what G2 has. Very strong side laning with a non-committal engage of Maokai, and overall just a really good 1-3-1 built up.
Jojopyun will get his hands on the Azir, though. I think that was his best pick individually.
Yeah.
Tied alongside the Yone for most played. So G2 not concerned. And look, on paper, you would favor Caps in this matchup, no doubt in my mind. But giving Jojopyun comfort, will it cost them? He's shown himself to be pretty damn effective on the pick.
I like that MKOI are not getting pulled into the trap of like treating Aurora as a flex. You're picking this because it's good into Gwen. Immediately you're fine revealing the flex and just putting it into top lane. And as you said, Jojo on the Azir, now you have a really good scaling mid jungle with the Skarner and the Azir, so you'll always win that front to back.
Good setup. G2 though, I don't know, the point click of the Maokai still feels pretty damn powerful to me.
That's true. I mean, now I think both teams really want Kai'Sa, in my opinion. I think especially for G2's comp, you do have to go AD Kai'Sa if you're going to lock it in, but it just has so good synergy. You can back up both of your side laners, and you can dive in with the Yone. So I would be surprised if we don't see Kai'Sa for either team here.
I imagine for KOI, they most likely just go AD on 4 here. I can't imagine counterpick AD. Would rather have the counterpick support.
Ban makes sense.
But don't want to play into that matchup. Kai'Sa was buffed a little bit on this patch, but remember, Kai'Sa was so popular in winter, but a big part of that was because you could just lane swap away from
that is true.
Matchups.
There are still a lot of ADCs left on the board, so they might be scared of it. However, the Kai'Sa buff was to her laning phase, with the fact that she got a little bit of armor and HP regen, which definitely does help out a little bit. But we'll see. G2's bot lane usually wants to play more lane bully champions and wants to dominate that way. But especially if Supa is going to be blind picking this Ezreal, Kai'Sa is just the most natural answer.
I mean, it's just a classic option, right? One of the few champions that can stick on the Ezreal with the power of that Killer Instinct ultimate.
Yeah.
And Ezreal, I mean, universally safe, right? Whether you think they're going to go for the Kai'Sa or not, Ezreal, just a reliable choice.
Yeah. I think something like the Kai'Sa Nautilus here. I mean, if he goes Samir, that would be crazy. It is not a terrible Samir game. Not that much CC on the enemy team other than the Skarner. They're quite squishy, but the champion is quite bad, so it's just going to be the Kai'Sa lock-in.
But it's hype, you know?
It is hype.
Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah, you probably shouldn't be playing it, but that doesn't mean I don't want to see it. All right, Kai'Sa, Rell, G2 rounding out, I think, you know, the Gwen first pick, very bold, obviously very strong in the current meta. The rest of the composition kind of stock standard, even from what we were seeing in an era with lane swaps. Alistar now the response to Rell. So while top lane feels like, oh, it could be this crazy dynamic matchup, the rest of the map, very stock standard picks.
I think mid lane, for me, the key lanes in this game will be mid lane and top lane. I think seeing how Myrwn does into this Gwen, and if he can shut it down early, I think if top lane ends up being just a farm test with both top laners being 10 CS per minute chilling, I would really rather be the Gwen. I haven't loved the Auroras we have been seeing both internationally and in EU. It just feels like they kind of fall off. And for bot lane, I think both sides will just be chilling. Kai'Sa Rell will get the early prio due to the weakness of Alistar, but I don't think much action will be happening there, especially when you have these explosive solo laners.
Definitely. Alvaro deserves the MVP. No matter when you read this, whether you're watching it as a VOD or live with us right now, we'll find out. Alvaro is certainly one of the strong points of this team.
He's been clutch.
Has been very clutch, right? And that's kind of the #1 praise and criticism, I think, that has been brought up for KOI, is that jungle support duo are lethal, and when they get going, the entire team gets going. But inversely, if they don't, things don't always look as good. That said, maybe a bit quieter of an early game. Again, without lane swaps, let's feel a little bit more locked in.
Yeah, and I'm really curious to see how Jojo faces up against Caps. For me, for MKOI, Jojo has been a disappointment last split. I had high hopes for him coming into the year, but I feel like he wasn't really able to meet that. And Caps traditionally been the best mid in EU. I think Vladdy kind of took his throne last split. So I think this is still a great test for Jojo. If he can have a good Azir performance here, I would feel very optimistic about MKOI's chances.
Now, in the first time, I'm going to say since 2019 against Nemesis, that Caps has really felt beaten in a mid lane matchup, not just contested. So Jojo's going to be hungry to show more, but for the first time in a long time, Caps now has something to prove. So
that's a dangerous Caps.
That's a dangerous Caps.
Oh, Labrov here.
Going in, crash down, bit of CC. Good early damage trade. Love to have the health advantage as the Yone. Jojo, of course, lethal tempo, great for the fights. Caps taking a more defensive option for lane phase will pay off. Jojo likely forced to burn TP here before the lane really even starts.
I think he's gonna choose to just walk, but this does mean that the Yone has a very free level 1, as the Azir will be quite delayed to the mid lane here. It's very nice for Caps.
Ooh, but showing, of course.
Oh, Hansama got a bit chunked by Ezreal as well.
Yeah, downside of showing your support mid is that Alvaro and Supa now get brush control.
True. And if they can get Prio as this Alistar level 1, they're very, very happy.
Certainly are. Okay, race to level 2, a classic story.
Oh, Supa.
Nice engage there from Labrov. Ooh, take an extra shot on the way out. Definitely not ideal, but having the aftershock there to at least mitigate some of that damage.
A bit of a spacing error there by Supa getting into range of Labrov's Rell.
Yep. Bit tough on the pullback, crash down, good interrupt from Alvaro. Again, it's such an interesting dynamic here. Ezreal, so much more powerful in the level 1. Rell, so much more powerful in the level 1 compared
I think let's bring back lane swaps, actually. I don't want to watch that. Wow, that's boring.
You'll shut your mouth or I'll report you to the balance team. Don't make me do it. Brox will come and get you personally, dude. But Freak, we'll see who wants to play.
Labrov's Rell, it has been his signature pick. Some might even say he's been a bit of a Rell merchant.
Definitely.
So I hope he can show... Oh, good engage here by Alvaro.
Nice body block trying to get himself in front of the queues there from Labrov, but Hansama getting chunked out.
These trades are not too bad for MKOI due to the fact that they have more sustain in the form of Alistar passive. So as long as they can deny G2 getting this recall off, they're in a very good position. But probably Hansama is going to be able to just base here.
Again, mid lane still very much favored for Jojo here in the early lane phase at least, despite the positive initial trade, held onto his TP, walks back to lane, is going to be able to sustain pressure for at least a few more levels. But if he gets the back, oh man, nothing like a little Doran shield, you know, little extra sustain coming in as well. How do you beat melee champions out of mid lane? It's so annoying. Now on the top side though, could have been all in here for Broken Blade. Level 3 to level 4 of Myrwn managed to get on top of him. Saw early on, Myrwn's range advantage does a lot of work here, but not enough to balance out the threat that Gwen poses.
I mean, one key aspect of this top lane matchup is the fact that Myrwn was able to blow Broken Blade's TP. So if he's now able to continue chunking him down, he's going to get a really nice TP advantage here. A very nice lane for him so far. And Jojo also getting a nice HP advantage in the middle lane. Elyoya looking for a gank, but SkewMond is covering. Might be a 2v2.
And really, when you look at the resumes of both these teams, 0 kills before 4 minutes is not really what you expect. Maybe a bit more action here on the bottom side. Elyoya on the way in, SkewMond ready to cover with the red buff. Caps free stacking that Q. Q3 will be big here. Elyoya now in trouble, forced to flash out. Follow-up now coming in from Caps. He should be able to snap back and finish it, but the shield is there just in time for Elyoya. A little bit more damage coming in bot lane, stun fall, nice interrupt from Alvaro, but he punts back and forth to flash away, flash forward, de-ignite, one more, Otto's gonna do it, first blood to Labrov.
And that is the G2 bot lane we've been hoping for. Finally, without the lane swaps, they're able to show why they're such a good bot lane, and 2v2 kill MKOI's bot lane.
Very well played. Ultimately, action in the mid lane, not a lot happening other than trades of some. No kills gonna get finished. We take a look back at this exchange.
And it's just Alvaro trying to protect Supa from the Rell engage, but Kai'Sa Rell in this all-in, they have so much damage. Nice of Hansama here not to waste the flash, recognizing that Labrov will be able to pick up that kill. That's a beautiful 2v2.
Supa holding onto his thumbs, luckily, or things could have been a lot worse. Alvaro can feel a little bit more comfortable once he get out of this laning phase, get level 6. Will be vulnerable for the next few levels.
So we saw Adam cook up quite a spicy Aurora build earlier today. And now Myrwn looks like he's also maybe cooking with the Fated Ashes.
Could be checking the numbers. Luden's Echo pretty much universally accepted as the first item. So
but it seems our LEC top laners don't want to build that item at all costs.
But this is, no matter where he goes from here, it will be less spicy than Shirelia's Symbiotic Souls.
I mean, Landry's Rush is pretty spicy, you know? Then he's like Bruce or Aurora. You've seen that Ahri build? It's like Rod of Aegis Landry's. He could do something like that on Aurora, like Bruiser.
I wouldn't mind it. I think the number one, we talked earlier about how Aurora always feels...
I mean, she runs out of damage often before she
just
can kill her
pushes all her
target.
buttons late game, and then she just doesn't feel like she does anything, and then her cooldowns are back up, but it's just not really enough to
Yeah. So maybe
outvalue the opposition.
the Brewster adaptation could be something.
Yes. Then she'll do less damage up front,
But she can actually
but
stay in the
maybe
fight.
she'll get another round of cooldowns off.
Yeah.
As Supa
Loses the cannon there for Supa. He's very sad. Not a happy plan by him. Oh,
back there, Cap should be able to snap back. Good buffer.
Nice buffer. You know they're removing that?
They are.
That Yone can like ignore all CC when he presses E.
I thought he could still buffer. It's just the CC would persist when he went back.
Yeah, but he kind of like, he did it while he was Azir ulted there, so I think he wouldn't be able to use it. I'm pretty sure.
Pretty sure the buffer would still work if you just mash that thing.
Maybe.
We'll find out.
If he was like...
And that's I don't think the audience wants to hear us just kind of guess.
Let's
I don't know if that's where our...
Let's debate.
Let's debate without information on something that has an objectively correct answer.
And you're gold, Drakos.
Damn! Walked right into that one, didn't he? All right, all in there at the bottom. Grub's already taken top side. Elyoya grabbing another camp to trade, but of course not all three Grubs going to MKOI. One was taken away. SkewMond getting another thing, and he's already level 6, so potential threat of a dive here. Cleanse for Supa will feel good, but the barrier will do a lot more work in an isolated fight.
Elyoya is building a quiet CS lead here onto the Maokai, being able to both get SkewMond's blue buff and Gromp. And he still has his topside camps up, so Elyoya might be able to pick up he's nearly a full level ahead actually of SkewMond.
Big. Cap's getting more comfortable in the match because he has a bit of lifesteal, but I think it's a good call out. Also, top lane for Myrwn. Yes, he did get the counter pick, but remember that G2 effectively used 2 of their bans, it feels like, to set up Broken Blade to be in a comfortable matchup, but
He's down a lot.
Sadly for them, yeah, Myrwn had one more in the pocket in terms of good options into the Gwen.
The biggest things there when you look at the both top and jungle is the XP bars. The fact that Myrwn is about to hit level 8, whilst Broken Blade still hasn't hit level 7 is really huge.
Ulti instantly, Jojo's gonna get hit, Q3, not up quite in time.
Does force the recall though.
Jojo's TP close. Might be up in time. Elyoya there to cover. Has to be very careful. Q3 W auto should just kill the Azir. Broken Blade now going all in. Needlework coming out. Myrwn going to retreat.
Oh, beautiful movement by Myrwn there. Dodging out on all of that Gwen ult.
Big for Broken Blade too. Would have loved to have that extra damage, but it's sustained too. Maybe at least able to get pressured, but it costs him his ultimate. A trade not bad for the next few team fights though.
So it's going to be Supa opening up here on mid lane to try to contest the Grubs, while Hansama is actually opening up on top. And then they'll send Jojopyun bot here with the TP. But G2 wants to try to dive this Aurora as a 3-man. But Alvaro is matching and trying to cover him. So it looks like Broken Blade would just be forced to base an open bot. But they do get him out of this hard matchup now. Although he might continue to struggle against Azir, to be honest.
It kind of could, I mean, it can be tricky. Myrwn also, when Rell is not there, is pretty comfortable just stepping up. Kai'Sa's still quite short-ranged. Alvaro is here, only level 5. This is Labrov, level 6, maybe where we see a little bit more action. You mentioned earlier, Elyoya, solid CS lead. See if he can get a little bit more active on the map before the next spawn of Grubs comes up. We're a minute out, both sides with a lot of resources used in top lane.
And these Caps just finishing this.
Good damage. Hansama can follow up here.
Just a good chunk of the Caps. But these Grubs are really important for both teams, because MKOI, they really want to deny these Grubs from the Yone and the Gwen, so that they can't play for this split push threat of easily being able to take place. While on the other hand, G2 really want Grubs, because they have a Yone and a Gwen. So if they get 4 Grubs here, and they can hit a tower for a few seconds, that plate gold will start stacking up real fast.
Definitely will. For now, gold 400. I mean, essentially no gold difference, really. Biggest difference is the item completion for Myrwn. Here's where most of the gold is. Hansama happy to be a bit ahead of Supa, but it doesn't mean too much as there's not a completed item. The Blackfire Torch for any coming fights will be massive. Ulti up now as well.
The Blackfire Torch is interesting. I'm guessing the thought process is that when he ultis, he's hitting everybody, so he's getting that 4% ability power per target burned. Oh, but an all-in here from Broken Blade.
Aggressive again. Needlework just traded.
It's good damage from Broken Blade. He's kind of all-inning like this just to be able to farm, because if he doesn't, then Myrwn can just keep poking him out. But Elyoya's behind.
Outside as if the Skarner gets involved. Quick flash out, slowed. Root now comes in. Myrwn, does he have the follow-up damage to take down Broken Blade? Alvaro here as well. Surely the Gwen will fall. Knocked back. Myrwn to finish it.
I believe that will be Grubs going over to MKOI. Really good gank here by Elyoya and a follow-up from Alvaro. It is going to be tower plates traded down on the bottom side by G2. Yone getting a considerable lead here over the Azir, picking up quite a few plates as Azir is zoned off of this bot lane by SkewMond and Caps.
Yeah, and as much as Myrwn is dominating the top side, I think it's still going to come down to these fights. You can see in the isolated 1v1, Gwen, at least when she has ulti, can force the ulti back from Myrwn, can mitigate some of what Myrwn is able to do. It's only when other people get involved that Broken Blade is really under that massive threat. Leandry's now completed for SkewMond, Nashor's for Jojopyun. Cap's still lagging behind in terms of the Blade of the Rune King, but should be able to finish it as soon as he does recall.
I think this meta is just so fantastic for Myrwn. That Gwen is such a strong champion, and he probably has so much experience both playing it and playing into it, that he knows these kind of niche counterpicks that other people haven't played, and he's built up a 1.7k gold lead here. He's just smashing.
I mean, it is nice when you're committed to a pick, even when it falls out of meta. When it finally does come back, that patience, that commitment paying off.
Yeah.
I think it's been years before we've really seen it that top lane, outside of this meta, outside of the occasional niche one-up.
It's going to be 2 Drakes going over to G2 though, and Hansama, a little voice right there.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And Hansama's 700 gold lead, kind of out of thin air. A little bit off of that assist onto Alvaro, but mostly just plate gold, I believe.
Definitely is going to be a problem. Myrwn, I mean, even Jojo and Supa, champions who very easy once a single piece of CC hits for Hansama to instantly be there to finish the job. On top of that, a push, unstoppable back. Jojopyun happy with that trade.
Oh, Jojo's going for an all-in.
This is smart. Caps, again, has not spent his money yet. He's much weaker than 1v1. They're going to try to crash this wave. Should just be plates. Caps.
Hold on there.
They don't want to try and...
They don't know. They're a bit too scared. Alvaro slowly face-checking here.
That's Aura.
A little bit, yeah.
I think any other player, you just dive. You just go.
Yeah.
Alvaro's ult. Just get in there.
I agree.
Just kill him.
Get his flash at least.
And the problem is, now the window of opportunity has disappeared. Caps approaches the wave, gets a bit of healing, and Labrov is there to cover him. So, in hindsight, in review, with perfect vision, maybe MKOI will feel like they should have made the play. But at least they're still getting mid-prio for now. 1 item to 1 item. Hansama, yes, more gold overall, but Kai'Sa doesn't really have a significant lead.
Yeah, you really need that Q evolve on the Kai'Sa, so he needs to hit level 10 and then get that pickaxe, and then he can actually start contesting these waves with that added wave clear. But he's still in a very comfortable position. Usually when you play this Kai'Sa into Ezreal matchup, you're going to be going down a little bit early game, and then once you hit that level 6, you actually have some all-in threat. BB again, looking for an all-in.
Everyone trying to hold on to his ult.
Some good damage.
Kind of reminds me of when people play into Kennen, and like your only mission is to get him to burn ult, so he cannot use it in a team fight. Feels like the same thing here from BB. Using the ulti, get lane prio, try to force Myrwn's ult.
I think it's also just about trying to like get the push that way. If you're able to chunk this Aurora down, she can't play as cocky, and that way you can actually farm minions. Jojo getting completely chunked here, but
this is big. Q3 out, combined with the flash. But that's Caps' TP and flash down.
He's gonna force Jojo to base and TP back here. A good play by Elyoya to cover Jojo. So otherwise, I think that might have been a solo kill.
No. Good coverage.
Caps looks angry.
Caps does look angry. And level 11 now, again, more and more ranks in the E. Level 13, already scary. Blade of the Rune King completed. We've been seeing this for about 2 years now.
BB using the W here very nicely. Myrwn. Well, he survives.
He does survive. That was overconfident.
Well, BB did use the W very nicely. It was like right on the edge, so Myrwn couldn't actually damage him at all. If he was able to get into the circle there, Myrwn could have maybe ulted and even been able to be in the one that was actually challenging Broken Blade. But it is going to be just Myrwn's flash is lost, and now Broken Blade finally has an item.
And this is kind of going to be the question for this pick. We mentioned earlier on, Aurora hasn't always felt like the highest impact late game champion. Gwen usually does, And so now that BB has weathered a lot of the early game storm, he's still massively behind. Is he just going to be more relevant in fights?
That is a good question. So I did say earlier that you really didn't want this to be very chill for the Gwen. And he has been punishing her, but as you said, I think I'd maybe still rather have the Gwen.
Which is kind of insane because the Gwen is down 1.5k gold. Maybe we'll both be wrong when Aurora finally gets the team fight, but MKOI have not, there's not really been a single moment where both teams have been group fighting for an objective.
Now you can see Hansama has that Q wall, able to clear out the wave here much faster with SkewMond. Does look like G2 is just going to give over the Rift Herald though. Bit strange here that Labrov is hovering to the Rift Herald when his rest of the team wants to cross map bot side.
Powered Blast Cone.
Wants to try to protect Broken Blade with.
Caps now chasing, knockback is good, Arcane Smash into the ulti, quick shutdown.
And that is the punishment of blowing that flash earlier from Broken Blade. Myrwn gets caught, no way out, and it's a beautiful cross map from G2.
Definitely a good setup. The fact that the shutdown is there really balances out the hurt of losing the Herald. But grabbing bot lane tier 1, pushing that wave in further. Jojo might be able to respond, but Broken Blade is here and ready.
He's going to be able to get the tower, but...
He does have 5 drops.
Yeah. I mean, overall, for MKOI, it's not bad. They get the Herald, they get the top tower. They do lose Myrwn and bot tower in the process, but objective-wise, they won the trade.
Definitely. I think the concern, if you're on the side of MKOI, is as you go later, I feel like Myrwn's gold lead is going to mean less. Again, we'll see how much damage this build does. It is double burn items.
To be fair, you have an Azir. True. Which does scale insanely well. But at the same time, it's a Yone. And his cap's on Yone. Yep. So it's like a little bit scarier.
A little bit extra scaling.
Yeah.
Safe to say.
And he is also up more gold now than Myrwn is up on this one. Through
the shutdown.
Yeah, the shutdown, the tower plates, the cross maps, and how well G2 has played around caps. And he's also shoving in his own right.
Pretty big individual lead. And Broken Blade now sitting pretty, despite being in a pretty big item deficit, very comfortable. Again, Gwen really loves to have those levels.
Now the gold lead for Myrwn has practically disappeared. It's going to be 500. Pretty much nothing.
I think this version of Gwen, man, when you just level 13, you just feel so broken. Max rank E. MKOI, though, going to try to leverage this Herald, balance out the gold a bit. Big that they were able to grab the Drake and stop the stacking from the side of G2. Hansama low range, not a great wave clear option. Universally true of G2, to be honest.
It's quite bad here for MKOI to not be able to take this tower with this Herald. You do get a chunk down low, and you will eventually get it. But you did move Jojo all the way here without still being able to really pressure the map. Nice little cannon deny here by G2.
Not the first time. It feels bad. I just cringe a little bit every time I see it. The unattended cannon minion.
But it also feels good because you know it's like it's not Supa missing it. It's G2 denying it.
Proactive. Yeah. The -1s where you just miss one in pro play, that's a roughie.
True.
Okay, so we're approaching 20 minutes. Gold slowly actually growing in favor of G2, partially because, as you highlighted, had to lose some waves to pull over the Azir to ultimately not break mid lane tower. And it's looking harder and harder for the side of MKOI. Even Elyoya, who once had that jungle lead, has now fallen behind. And I think the struggle is G2, with this Maokai, with this Rell, I feel like with follow-up from Yone, have a very easy time forcing fights on their terms. Elyoya, Skarner, some good CC. The Alistar's pretty solid CC, but when those people are grouping up for you, it's not quite as reliable.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? This G2 comp really wants to play this 1-3-1 and get push on all 3 lanes and just choke you out that way. So I really want to see MKOI just overload on one lane and be able to actually start some team fights going, because that's where the Azir and the Ezreal can actually shine. While if they're just getting pushed in on sides, then G2 gets full control of the map.
Yeah. But again, Calm, a game about side lanes.
You can see how cocky Caps can play on the side lane here. He just walks up, gets Jojo's ultimate, and he's going to lifesteal back up on the wave.
I love Blade of the Rune King. It seems like a perfectly designed item for Yone. It's everything every other champion gets, but also cooldown reduction. Yay! Frustrating to play against, to be certain. And this is the exact point that you were worried about when we saw these two compositions. It's like, hey...
There was some trauma there, or...
Yeah. I mean,
I
we've
get
been
it,
watching
but
this
that is
since
not normal.
Worlds last year.
Ooh, Caps looking for a solo bolo here.
Caps looks like he might find a solo bolo here. Freeze frame, Jojopyun going golden, dashing over, gets a little bit tricky with it. It won't manage to survive. Broken Blade now trying to chase. Myrwn bringing out the ulti, the blast cone not too effective, but one more stack. The Q's in. Myrwn holding on, dashes back with the weirding. Here comes Elyoya. Probably can't get anything, but looks menacing. Saves his top lane.
And it's the fancy feat of MKOI solo laners here that allow both Jojo and Myrwn to survive. Jojo did a little flash down, dash up maneuver, and Myrwn did a little flash ult walk behind maneuver.
Are those the technical terms as a pro player?
Yeah, that's how we would do it in review. And now Jojo can't play under tower. So yeah, this is Yone champ looks really healthy. I don't have trauma from it either.
Yep, we're all fine. We all think Yone good, fun, interactive. This is the point though. Again, he crosses level 13, 1.5 to 2 items. It's so impossible to play. Jojo just has to run. His tower does not protect him, and G2 at the same time are starting the objective. Gwen on the way in, 4K getting lower. This might end up being a little bit of a flip.
TP.
Broken Blade off to the side, 3K. Can't afford to let it get too lower. It'll be the 50-50, but there's Labrov finding the engage. Caps now ready to follow. Where's the ulti gonna go? Quick locket now coming out. Caps trying to find a way in, needs to get the Q3 stack. Alvaro in trouble, will just get instantly cut down. Q3 there for Caps as well. SkewMond, sights set. The Otacon, Elyoya not in fast enough. Caps the Q3. Can commit. G2, how far do they want to go? The Sun Disc is there. They're still entertaining the idea. Broken Blade stepping up, uses the mist. Jojopyun trying to run. SkewMond not knock back the instant follow-up. It's a slaughter. MKOI in a single fight lose so much.
G2 are getting everything. They get the Otacon and they can chase for more kills. Caps and BB are wrecking MKOI apart. And it's a beautiful flash predict from Alvaro onto Hansama's flash, but it doesn't matter. There's just not enough damage on the side of MKOI, while G2 have way too much of it.
The resources of MKOI just chipped away at, leading them to this fight. Myrwn not able to join Broken Blade, who got bullied in lane, just zoning that champion away.
And Hansama ultis in here. He tries to flash the Alistar combo. He still gets knocked up, but it doesn't matter. Caps is right there with him. MKOI can't follow up. And then after they get the Otacon, they get the confidence that they need, and MKOI are on the ropes.
Yeah, you can see the chase here.
And it's a really nice spacing by BB as well, waiting for the W cooldown to be back up.
Goes in, big ulti, followed for SkewMond. There's just no getting out. And credit to G2 again. Looks like a super dominant team fight, but that team fight was won in the minutes prior, where they get advantages, where they take away the Zhonya's, where they make it impossible for Jojopyun to lane. And it's an impressive feat to say, hey, the G2 solo lanes are carrying that fight when, yeah, Caps was doing well, but, oh, the early game, Broken Blade was getting bullied. Now Myrwn, caught in the 1v1, his individual lead, non-existent, and against Caps, even more so.
Caps just looks fearless this game. 270 CS at 24 minutes, and he's going for every single 1v1, every single fight. He wants so much. It's beautiful to see.
Broken Blade still chasing, shifting sands over the walls. Elyoya now the one who's been caught. Broken Blade not hesitating to immediately ult. A little less damage after the changes, but Hansama now there to follow. First kill coming through. Supa just running from the Gwen, but there's no getting away. The skip and slash is back up. Maybe the flash for the wall is going to take him there. E in, but he's just withdrawing. Just a bit of extra pocket money.
And it feels so bad for MKOI. They try their hardest, but despite it all, they're going to lose the tier 2 top. They're going to lose 2 in the fight. And Broken Blade, all he is, he's just sent back to base.
And I think the thing that hurts if you're MKOI is that you got your counter pick to the Gwen. Which
worked.
Which it did work. You got Jojo on his most comfortable, most successful champion.
It didn't work.
It didn't work. Elyoya had a lead early that did not amount to anything, and so there were a lot of little moments of the game where it felt like you had advantages that you could maybe leverage. G2 just never gave them that opportunity. And Caps
Caps is looking clinical.
Yeah. Jojo is getting a lot of anger worked out on him that I think might have been meant for Vladdy.
That's what Caps needed, though. I think this is such a good sign for me for G2 that Caps has taken the loss against Vladdy, and many people, me included, thinking Vladdy was the better mid laner last split, and Caps has taken that to heart, and he's
endlessly
looking so strong. Yeah. And the fact that he keeps pressuring up in this side lane, he keeps growing this CS lead, keeps pressuring both in the 1v1 and in the team fights, that is what made Caps so strong historically. That he's able to play side lanes so aggressively and so intelligently and build up these huge individual leads and just make it unplayable for MKOI. What do they do now? They want to shut down this Yone so Azir can actually play the game, but now I think Caps can 1v2. So Elyoya, you can see, despite Caps going so deep bot lane, Elyoya doesn't even want to go for the play because G2 can just start Nash.
You talk about scaling and the power that like an Azir could have. Now there's a massive gold deficit, so that's one part of it, but every time Caps trades ultis with Jojo, he's trading up.
This Nash is gone.
SkewMond using the ulti to zone them away. Labrov ready to follow. Q-Stun just taking a bit of time, not sure if he wants to keep pushing. Caps at least going to use this minion. Q3 in. This was a bit over-eager, okay.
It's a 3-level lead.
Is that a Caps curse? Nope. Because
yeah, Caps is just having fun.
yeah, I don't know what I said there, but that was, that felt apt given the situation.
Yeah.
3-level lead. Game one, looking a little bit cooked.
Blade.
It is luckily a best of 3. MKOI will be able to go back to the drawing board. Might be able to find Broken Blade here. A lot of CC there. Does it stop Gwen? They've outscaled. Now they have no damage. Gwen healing everything. Broken Blade with more health than he started with. Jojopyun finally getting involved in the fight. Maybe it's enough, but now all of G2 have arrived. Caps stacking his Q off to the side, but Hansama autoed that minion, so he doesn't have a Q3. Luckily, they're hilariously far ahead, so it will not matter, but as someone who's played Yone, that would be very annoying.
It's a slaughter for G2. These solo laners are just so damn strong. BB, he can 1v3. Caps, he can 1v3. And MKOI have nothing to stop it as Labrov engages onto Jojo.
Jojo finally has designed it, immediately has to use it. Myrwn in his first team fight where he's allowed to get involved. And only manages to chunk out Labrov. Does sidestep, flashing away, getting away from SkewMond, but G2 and Caps just continuing the siege. Broken Blade already in the bottom lane with another wave ready to go. MKOI cannot defend all of these towers.
I do believe G2 will have to base here. Although BB is just looking to go for more with the support of Caps. And I think they can 2v4.
Myrwn has no ult. I think you're right that they can 2v4. Now, Perma CC might make the difference, but again, Elyoya ulted earlier, so Broken Blade just keeps going.
Gwen is immune, baby.
2v4!
Gwen is immune.
2v4! Okay! Yone, strong champs, we've learned firsthand. Strong pilots, no doubt. MKOI, infuriating. Again, at this point, they're at a 12k gold deficit. There's nothing they could have done. And certainly not
taking the
against
game.
Yone and Gwen. G2 ready to end. It is the best of 3. MKOI will have the chance to fire back, but they're certainly being sent back to the drawing board. G2, first win of the season, knocking MKOI down.
Caps looks so damn good right now. I'm loving this glow up frame, and I'm super excited to see a more aggressive side laning Caps throughout the split.
Look, awesome game 1, game 2 right around the corner. We're going to head to a quick break. Don't go anywhere. More League of Legends right after this.
What an incredible play there from...
Oh, that was incredible. You love to see it.
Right, yeah, let's really
What
get into...
a move! He's just so good. I mean, the persistence, the patience to find the angle. You just don't see that from rookies. He's got it all. He's got the bad.
Have a break. Have a Kit Kat.
Ooh, that looks good. Do you want to maybe share a little bit? Yeah.
What a move!
Red Bull gives you wings.
Welcome to Marriott Bonvoy. Where can we take you?
From Berlin to the finals, Marriott Bonvoy will be your check-in at every checkpoint. Discover over 30 hotel brands here and around the world. Marriott Bonvoy, a check-in at every checkpoint.